All right, today's video is on compositions of transformations. You want to make sure that you're paying very close attention because this is by far the trickiest part of this entire unit. The composition of transformations is when we do two or more transformations and we combine them together. In a composition, the first transformation produces an image. Upon that image, we do a second transformation. So we do one at a time. We have the object in the new spot. From that new spot, we do the second transformation. The symbol for the composition of a transformation is going to be an open circle. We use the notation. So if I have two different transformations here, the D is representing a dilation by factor 2. The T is representing a translation, left 3, up 5. So again, let's say we are going to do rotation. I rotate 180 degrees. I do that transformation. From there, I translate. So you're going to have two movements. We've got a composition of these transformations, two different things I'm going to do. To read this, it's read a dilation of a scale factor 2 following, this is the key word, following a translation of 3 units left and 5 units up. Now think about if you're in line. If you're following something or someone, you are behind them, which means you are second. So this tells me that a dilation follows a translation. And that gets very, 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 very confusing. So we have to be careful. The process is done in reverse because the dilation follows the translation. So when I do this, I have to do the translation first and the dilation second. This is by far the most confusing part of it. A dilation follows a translation. So I translate first and then I dilate. Very, 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 very important. So let's go ahead and try to write some of these rules for our composition. A scale factor of 1/2 following a translation 6 units down. So this is telling me that I have a dilation of 1/2 following a translation 6 units down. So there's no movement left, right. I'm just going down 6 units. So when you write this notation, you write it in the order that you read it. Dilation of 1/2 following translation 6 down. The confusing part is I do this first and this second. So the first thing we have, number 1, is I'm going to translate 6 units down. Well, my starting point is just at my xy, my original xy. If I'm moving left, right, none, I'm still at x, and then I'm moving down 6, so now I'm at y minus 6. The second thing I have to do is dilate by 1/2. I'm no longer at that original xy. This is where I ended. I'm ending at x, comma, y minus 6. What I have to do is I have to dilate this entire piece by 1/2. To show that, I have to multiply everything by 1/2. That's going to put me at 1/2 x, comma, 1/2 y. Half of 6 is 3. So after my translation, after my dilation, my notation is x, comma, y. That's where I started, and where I ended up was 1/2 x, 1/2 y minus 3. This is back to our logic unit. We think about that chain rule. This is where I started, this is where I translated to, and after that translation, I ended up at my dilated position. These are the same. That's my middleman. I cut it out. So my final notation is where I started and where I ended. I don't care about the middle. I use the middle just to have the proper notation along the way. So let's try that again. A translation 3 units right following a scale factor of 4. So a translation 3 units right, so I'm moving right 3, up, down, none, following a dilation with a scale factor of 4. This is what I do first. This is what I do second. When you write it in the order in which you see it, but the first thing comes second, the second thing comes first. So the first thing I'm going to do is a dilation by 4. I'm starting at xy. If I dilate by 4, everything gets multiplied by 4. The second thing I do is I translate right 3. So I'm not starting at xy, this is where I start. I'm at 4x and 4y. From here, I'm going to go right 3. So my x is going to add on 3, my y doesn't do anything. So my notation here is xy, that's where I started. I end up at 4x plus 3, comma 4y. You really want to make sure that you do these in steps so that you don't make a mistake. 2 more left. Scale factor of 3, so a dilation by factor of 3 following a translation. 2 units left, so -2 and 4 units up. Again, this is what I do first. This is what I do second. So the first thing we do here is I'm going to translate 2 left and 4 up. I start at xy. From the x I move left 2, the y I move up 4. This is where I end up. From there I have to dilate by 3. So I'm currently at x minus 2 and y plus 4. From here I have to multiply everything by 3. I've got to show that dilation of 3. So 3 times x puts us at 3x. 3 times -2 is a -6. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 4 is a positive 12. So I started at xy. I ended up at 3x minus 6 and y plus 3y plus 12. So notice your answer does matter the order in which you do your transformation. So make sure that you're doing the transformations in the correct order. All right, go ahead and press pause. We only have one more left. Go ahead and try to do the last one on your own. All right, let's see how you did. First, check your notation. Since the word starts with the translation, we write translation first. Open circle to your dilation. That means that we do the dilation first, which means I multiply the x and the y by 1/3. Then I move right 8 and up 12, so 1/3 plus 8, 1/3 plus 12, and that's where I end up. Remember your notation, we started at xy, and that is where we ended, and we are now done with our composition of transformation video.